So hey guys, today we're going to be talking about Floodgates. So specifically, we're going to be talking about decks that play well under Floodgates. So, well, like for example, Skill Drain. There can be only one. All of these cards. So these cards are problematic in their own way, and that's kind of a different discussion, but in general, there are surprisingly a lot of decks that play fairly well under all sorts of different floodgates. So one of these such decks is Altergeist. So under Skill Drain specifically, we have Altergeist Protocol, which makes it so the activation and effects of Altergeist cards activated on your field cannot be negated. So that means even under Skill Drain, we can still activate our monster effects just fine, as long as they're not continuous, which for the most part, I don't think we really have any continuous Altergeist cards to really worry about. So that's great, I guess. And Skill Drain just does essentially nothing if we have Protocol. And also, you do have a good amount of removal to deal with a bunch of different floodgates. So with Meluseek, this is able to attack directly and inflict battle damage to our opponent. We can target any card our opponent controls and send it to the graveyard. So this could be a monster, this could be a spell trap, whatever. It is now in the graveyard. And of course, non-destruction removal. And then Silquatus, return to the hand, also non-destruction removal. But it is targeted, which is worth mentioning, I guess, to some extent. So we have both of these guys, and they're able to out floodgates if they actually mattered. So rivalry that doesn't matter that much. Tikaboo and Gozen do matter because these guys are all different attributes, and they're also all spellcasters, which also worth mentioning. Secret Village, not that useful. And also, you don't run, well, you don't need to run that many spells in Altergeist, so it already doesn't do much against Altergeist, but, you know, since we do have spellcasters, that doesn't really do much. We just normal summon a guy, and then we've breaking free of the Secret Village, I guess. So that's one deck down, and a few more to go. So next we have Subterror. Subterror has a bunch of different ways to play around Floodgates as well, and that is because we have Subterror Guru. So with Subterror Guru, we can do a lot of things, or not a lot of things, depending on your perspective. But you know, with the Guru, we can add a copy of Final Battle, and Final Battle's pretty cracked, honestly, to an extent. We can change our Subterror cards to face up and face down, and that means we can constantly control what monster we have face up and which ones are face down. And this is really valuable against something like a rivalry, or there could be only one, Gozen, whatever. But also worth mentioning, you know, these guys are all Earth, so Gozen doesn't actually work. There can be only one also doesn't work because these guys are all different types. What does work is rivalry, but rivalry doesn't work that well because I can flip, for example, our Guru face down, and then whatever cards face up that I want to activate. And in this case, I'll only have one card of any given type face up. So for example, we can do flip up Subterror Behemoth Umastrix. We'd banish a card our opponent controls, and then we also have the effect here to actually, once per turn, you can change this card to face down defense position. So then next turn or later, I can activate Final Battle to flip up the Guru. And then I can get the Guru Surge, and then I can flip face down one of your cards and use Guru as kind of a piece of interruption here. But just in general, yeah, if a deck is able to, I guess, play with face down cards, some of these Floodgates aren't necessarily as useful. And also worth mentioning is that this also plays around skill drain with the final effect here. This turn activated effects of Subterror cards cannot be negated. The activations can be, the effects cannot, and skill drain negates effects and not activation. So yeah, there you go. We can play around skill drain by just activating final battle. So yeah, we're pretty fine against a lot of Floodgates with Subterror. And I mean, Subterror Fiendus, also a spellcaster, but also doesn't matter because you're mostly playing traps aside from like Hidden City, pretty much exactly. So yeah, we could play pretty well under Floodgates with this. And just in general, if we had our under Rivalry or something like that, one of the things about Rivalry or Tikaboo or whatever is that it still allows you to set cards, and Subterrors are indeed going to be set face down and stuff because they're flip monsters. So if we go to Ninja, it's kind of the same kind of idea, but you also do have outs to Floodgates as well. So we have, specifically with ninjas, we have Iron Digger, we have Tenchi Kaime, and there is also Yagurumaru, the Armor Ninja. So we also have Ninjutsu Art Notebook of Mystery, which can search for the Iron Digger. But yeah, Ninja's pretty decent against Floodgates just in general. So same kind of thing. So we can play around skill drain a little bit with Dancing Leaves, and Dancing Leaves constantly resets itself, so we can keep activating Dancing Leaves for quite a while. So for example, I could normal summon Hanzo, you might flip over like a skill drain, or you might already have skill drain up. I can Dancing Leaves the Hanzo for a different monster. Maybe we go like Green Ninja or something. And this is kind of relevant. So then we can use an effect of a different ninja monster, and then if we send, we're going to assume it's a trigger. So in this case, it might be like Yagurumaru, but we use Green Ninja as material for its fusion summon. So Yagurumaru and Green Ninja. So Green Ninja is going to be sent to the graveyard at the same time as you summon Yagurumaru. So what we're going to then be able to do is we're going to chain link 1, or even chain link 2 the Yagurumaru, right? Actually, no, wait. It has to be chain link 1 Yagurumaru and then chain link 2 Green Ninja, flipping the Yagurumaru face down, and then it'll resolve face down, so it's not affected by skill drain. So that's one way we can deal with this. And then we have Tenchi Kaime, which is removal for whenever your ninja monster inflicts spell damage. We can out Floodgates, and we can attack directly with Maizen. So we can bypass certain things like Decisive Battle doesn't really get outed like this, but Clockwork Knights, we can kind of play around that with like some other Floodgates potentially. It just depends, I guess, on the exact situation. Bit iffy on this one actually, but yeah, this can out like Tikaboo, Rivalry, whatever. And of course, assuming like I normal summon Hanzo and you flip Rivalry, I can just set a non-warrior ninja like Tobari. So we can set Tobari, we can then contact away the Hanzo, Tobari for Maizen, and then Maizen would be able to summon another warrior like Yagurumaru to set Hanzo or something like that. So we have that play under Rivalry. If we're under Gozen, Maizen's still a dark, Hanzo's a dark, so still kind of the same play. Not much changes in this case. If we're under Tikaboo, we can, instead of summoning the Maizen, we just summon Yagurumaru. So let's say we have Warrior here, Winged Beast here. This is a machine that there's no commonality, so we can just go into Yagurumaru. And then that would be one way to out, I guess, like what old Tikaboo, right? So in general, all these decks play pretty well around Floodgates for one reason or another, but yo, do you guys know the downside of being able to play around Floodgates well? Well, you'll know soon. So here's another deck that plays really well around Floodgates. So your guys here. We have Eldlich the Golden Lord, which is a light zombie, and all of your monsters are essentially light zombies. So you play really well under Gozen because all these guys are lights. You don't really care about only one attribute. And then we have the fact that they're also zombies, so rivalry doesn't really matter. Tikaboo does matter a little bit, but of course Eldlich, it can out like any Floodgate with ease because we can use Eldlich's hand effect here. You can send this card and one spell trap from your hand to the graveyard, then target a card on the field, send it to the graveyard. So that can out just any Floodgate our opponent controls. Great. Lovely. And of course we have lots of easy access to Eldlich. So we have Cursed Eldland, which can search Eldlich directly. We have Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine. We have Elixir of Black Awakening, which summons Eldlich. And then we also have Conquistador if we were to summon any of our Eldlich kind of monster traps and they're destroyed, then that allows us to search Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine, which grabs us the Eldlich and gets us the Eldlich access, which then in this case will eventually allow us to get the Eldlich into hand to out whatever Floodgate. So in this case, it might be like there can be only one, and because of how the deck works, it plays really well under skill drain. So this effect is not a monster effect, of course, it's a trap effect, so you can activate Conk effect to pop, hack effect to banish and whatnot. Under skill drain, you can activate the hand and graveyard effect of Eldlich, no problem. So of course, the thing about every single one of these decks is that not only can they play around Floodgates really well, they can run them really well as well. So here's the issue with any deck that can play really well under Floodgates. They can run them really well as well. Not only can you play against Floodgates really well, you can utilize them very well. And that in of itself is kind of a problem. And this, I think, is probably partially why there are no like good flip decks. Because if there was just a really good flip deck, you know what else it is? It's a really good Floodgate deck. Just inherently, it's just how it ends up being because of how flip mechanics kind of work and how they interact with Floodgates, which is kind of horrendous. So yeah, Floodgates. I think yeah, they're pretty problematic, and there's not like a whole lot we could do about this right now. And I don't think there's a whole lot we can do like just in general. But on the bright side, even if you're not playing with Floodgates, a lot of these decks are still pretty fun in their own right, and they have their unique play styles, but they just happen to also play around hand trap, or not hand traps, play around like Floodgates really well. And speak of which, Runic can play around hand traps, or not hand traps, play around Floodgates pretty well as well. And yeah, Runic's done, right? Are we seeing a bit of commonality here? So honestly, I just like a deck to just be fixated on nothing but back row removal and being very bad against maybe like some more like combo oriented decks. If we could get an archetype like that, that'd be great. Yeah, because sometimes I think some back row hate is pretty advisable. Perhaps it'd be nice to have in one aspect or another. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.